Welcome to Blue Talks.
Friends, it gives me great pleasure to be here speaking at the University of Alberta, my alma mater. It is always such a pleasure to be on the grounds of the school that helped train you. I graduated here in 1983 with a degree in medicine. And, back then, I had dreams bigger than my doubts, but even fears bigger than my dreams. Now, the one thing about an alma mater is people see the bricks and mortar. Well, when I look at this place, I don't see the bricks and mortar. I see the libraries where students are cramming for their exams. I see friendships forged over bad coffee late at night. I see professors pushing their students to the greatest heights that they can get to. And this is where I found unshakable leadership for the first time. You see, there's one thing that's certain in this life, is the world is always turning. It will shake you. There's no doubt it will shake you. So you have to decide whether you're going to be shaken by the storms or whether they're going to reveal you. I suggest let them reveal you. Don't be broken by them. So what I'm going to do in this talk is I'm going to show you how to survive those storms, how to be calm in those storms, and how to be an unshakable leader. How many of you want to be unshakable leaders? Show of hands. Yeah, that's everybody in the crowd today. So what do I know about leadership anyhow? Well, for those who know me, I have a syndicated radio show that has over 7 million listeners a month, and I've had over 2,000 guests, all that are leaders in their own right. And they've taught me a lot about leadership. Now, one thing I know about leadership is everything that you've been taught is absolutely wrong. Why? You have gurus, books, podcasts, all saying things like the 10 traits, the 11 must-haves, the 5 things you need to be a leader. But that's wrong. You see, leadership isn't a title. It isn't a corner office. It isn't a boss saying, I'm the boss, listen to what I have to say. That's not leadership. So what is leadership? Well, leadership is a person with the courage to go down a path, and he doesn't know the destination. And he has the conviction of having people to follow it. Now the path is going to sway. It's going to go off course, but he's still going to stay on that course. Why? He doesn't have a map. What he has is an internal compass. And he says to everybody, we're going to find the way together. And that's what a leader does. Now, one thing that's certain in this day is the world is full of chaos. You turn on the 6 o'clock news, and it's the chaos hour. It's people beating on people. It's death and destruction and everything else. The world is chaos. And in this day and age, we need unshakable leaders more than anything else. Now, one thing that's also certain is there's storms. Now, will they defeat you or reveal you? unshakable leadership is not a luxury. It's a necessity in this day and age. Now I'm going to give you some images. Picture a lighthouse in a storm. The waves are tall enough to knock the lighthouse over. But that lighthouse gives an unwavering beacon for ships to follow in that storm, leading the way. The lighthouse is an unshakable leader to those sailors. Think of the giant oak tree that survives despite storms, winter, droughts. It's there for hundreds of years. The reason it survives is because it has a root system so deep it's intertwined with the rocks below. The giant oak tree is an unshakable leader. And I want you to think of a mountaintop that's so high it's above the clouds. Now that mountaintop sees storms down below, but it doesn't affect them. Why? Because it's so high. It's immune to those storms. The giant mountaintop is an unshakable leader. Now I want you to think of a tuning fork. It gets stricken and it brings out a gentle hum. And if you put it in water, it'll cause some gentle waves. You see, that is what's inside of an unshakable leader. He has his tuning fork. So when something strikes him, that gentle hum comes out, that gentle hum of calmness. You see, every unshakable leader has a compass with its true north deep down inside. And he knows the compass no matter the storms that come up. Now let's talk about those storms. Storms are meant by three F's. So I'm going to go into those. What is the first F? The first F is fear. Fear. Every one of us has fear. And our primitive brain is designed to protect us from fear. Deep down inside, we have something called the limbic system that reacts with flight, fight, fright, or freeze. It reacts even before we understand a fear is there. So what is a fear really? Well, Zig Ziglar said it best. He said, it's false evidence appearing real. Why? 95% of what we fear never comes true. 4% comes true, but much less than what we think it's going to be. And the 1% that comes true is where the pure gold is, because it teaches us a valuable lesson, and we never go there again. You see, in order to succeed, you have to address your fears. And the harder the fall, the bigger the bounce. Remember that. So what's the second F? It's fatigue. How many of you have heard the expression, I'm working myself to the bone? Yeah. How many of you are tired to the bone or have been tired to the bone? Many people in this room have. Well, you see, an unshakable leader deals with this in a different way. He realizes when he's tired, he has to rest. And then he has to reconnect. And he has to recalibrate. So it's a sign for him not to work harder, but to do things differently. And let's deal with the last F, failure. How many of you like to fail? Yeah, good, a couple in the room. Well, you see, the good thing about failure is it teaches you a valuable lesson. I always want to get failure out of the way so I can get on to the good stuff. You know, Thomas Edison had a great idea when he was inventing a light bulb. He tried 10,000 times and he said, I wasn't successful. But he never said he failed. He said, I just haven't found the right way yet. And that's the way you should approach things. Now let's look at these. Fear is feedback. Fatigue is a clue to reset. And failure, a stepping stone, not a tombstone. Write that down. Failure is a stepping stone, not a tombstone. Put that everywhere that you know of so you move forward faster. Now I'm going to tell you a personal story. Some of you have heard it, but it again needs to be borne out. I was walking with my wife, my youngest daughter, and her best friend in Disneyland. Ironically, the happiest place on earth. My wife turned to me and she said, "Hon, what's wrong with you?" I was taken aback. For once in my life, I hadn't said anything wrong. I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't even thunk anything wrong. But she kept persisting. "What's wrong with you, hon?" I said, "Dear, nothing." She said, "Yes, there is. Your right foot is flapping." And there it was. My right foot was flapping on the pavement with each step I was taking. Now, your brain is designed not to let that happen. When you step, your foot lifts up. Mine wasn't. So what was going on? My wife said, "Did you have a stroke?" I said, You're a doctor. I'm a doctor. If I had a stroke, I'd be lying on the pavement convulsing." Then she said, "When we get back, you better get it checked out." So what do you do when your spouse says you better get it checked out? You get it checked out. So I saw one doctor. That led to 5. That led to 10. That led to 100. And by the end, over 500 doctors. They treated me like a lab rat. They poked and prodded me everywhere. They did every test they could. And at the end of the day, they still didn't know what was wrong. So you know what a doctor does when he doesn't know what's wrong? Well, he does one of two things. He says, "You're crazy. You got to see a psychiatrist." Or he says, "We're going to find more tests." And that's what they did. More tests, more tests, and more tests. They did CAT scans, brain scans, CAD scans, and they still didn't know what was wrong. So they got together and they said, "Okay, we're going to send you to a world-leading neurologist, the brain guy that has the answers to all these questions." I said, "Okay." So I walked in. There was this guy sitting at an immense glass desk with one piece of paper on it. And I said, "Hi." He said, "Hi back. You better be sitting down when I tell you this." I said, "Why? I've got a dropped right foot." He said, "No, you don't. You have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Get your affairs in order. You have 6 months to live." I was taken aback. It was like a ton of bricks hit me. I said, "Is there a way to prove this diagnosis?" He said, "Of course, on autopsy." That's what I lost it. I stamped out of that room. I slammed the door. I said, "I'm not going to die to prove you wrong." So I somehow made it to my car, and I cried for hours. And I made it home. I told my wife what was going on, and she said, "No, he's wrong. I don't know what you have, but you don't have ALS." But what would you do in a situation like this? Okay? My emotions took over. I raged. I barked at everybody that came in my vicinity. I could bite the head off nails. Everybody knew something was wrong, but I couldn't tell them, otherwise they might desert me. Or they might pity me, which is even worse. So I bargained. "Oh God, please don't let this happen. I'll do anything if you don't let this happen." But I didn't think God was listening to me back then. Then you go through denial. Now, I worked 12, 14 hours a day. And my right hand also became useless. And I was a right-handed surgeon. So what do you do if you're a right-handed surgeon and can't use your right hand? You become a left-handed surgeon. You know, guess what? If you do something 10,000 times, you can do it. And I learned how to tie knots. I learned how to do scissors. I learned how to use my lasers, all with my left hand. But my right hand kept on getting worse. And so I became depressed. How many in this room have been depressed? Well, that's pretty good. You see, statistics say that 50% of any room will be truly depressed or have been truly depressed. Now, all those who lifted the hand know what that means. That means these are the dark days. That means you can't eat, you can't sleep. That means mornings turn to nights and nights to morning. You can stay in bed all day. Why not? You're going to die anyhow. But it was so dark, I had a plan to end it all. I was not going to die in my own secretions like I saw people with ALS did. They literally drowned. So I was going to end it all. Now, if any of you are thinking of ending it all, don't do it, because there's always hope if you're this side of the daisies. I'm living proof of that. So I went to my wife. She held me by the hands and said, "Dear, you're smart. You'll figure it out." I said, "How? I've seen every doctor known to man." She said, "Perhaps you haven't seen the right doctor yet." Well, it was 2003, and something new was invented. You might have heard about it. It's called the internet. Ever hear about that? Yeah. We can't survive without the internet in 2003. But back then it was primitive. You had to put a phone on a cradle and it would go ring-a, ring-a, ring-a for 15 minutes. And if you got to the other side, that would certainly help you along. And I met a doctor in Colorado Springs, Colorado, by the name of David Martz on the other side. And he was amazing because what he did was he had the same symptoms I did and was on his deathbed when a doctor from Texas looked at David and said, "I don't think you have ALS. I think you have chronic Lyme's disease. I think you've been bitten by a tick, and that tick is mimicking this disease." So David was treated, and like Lazarus, he arose from the dead. Now, the amazing thing that happened then is I got in touch with David. He invited me to come down. I saw David, and he said, "I think history is repeating itself." So he started to treat me. And that's why I'm here in this day and age, talking to you and helping you get to another life. Now, this thing taught me something very important. It taught me something I called the fear flipper model. Now, this can be used in any crisis that you have. First, you name the fear, then you find the truth underneath, and then you flip it into another action. So you name the fear. I was afraid of dying. Find the truth underneath. I wanted to see my grandchildren grow up. Flip it into another action. I moved into another direction. Now, you can do this in any situation you're in. You see, storms don't break unshakable leaders. They reveal them. That is the difference between an unshakable leader and everybody else. Now, what is your storm right now? Is it fear? I can't do it. Is it fatigue? I don't have the strength to do it. Or is it failure? I don't believe I can do it. Now, each one of you has one of those storms going on in your brain right now. Now, what is one step you can do right now to overcome that obstacle? Think about it. Put it at hand. Take a picture of the slide. Make sure you do this anytime you're in a crisis situation. And you can do it. I know you can. If I can do it, you can do it. Now, do you fear everything and run, or face everything and rise? I want you to rise. I want you to be the person that faces everything and rises. Lead with calmness, purpose, passion, and positivity. Remember, be the lighthouse, the beacon in the storm. Be the giant oak tree that doesn't get uprooted by the storm. Be the mountain peak so you can see every storm below without it affecting you. Be the tuning fork that vibrates gently when you're stricken. Be unshakable. Did anybody learn from this today? If you did, stand up. Stand up, put your hands together, and give me an applause.